Okay, so welcome again, everyone. It's great to see so many folks get together. We hope you and yours are safe and well. I'm Joe Murphy. I'm the director of the Center for Innovative Pedagogy at Kenyon. And I really want to thank especially Jazz Glastra from Career Development Office, who reached out to me at just the right time to say, you know, we could use some time to talk about some of the other offices on campus that can be really helpful to our faculty and who have ways to connect to the curriculum that that might be useful. And you know, as we go into this crazy fall, it'd be good to have a buddy. So let's meet some of our buddies from Office for Community Partnerships, Career Development Office, and Office of Green Initiatives. Thanks to Jan, Jazz, Alyssa, and Dave for making themselves available. And I will turn it over to OCP first, Jazz. Is that, or was it creative? I'm forgetting who
yeah,
is.
it's us.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks.
Hi, so thank you all for joining us today. I am Alyssa Gomez-Lawrence, Assistant Director at the OCP. I focus on community engaged learning and local internships. And I'm here with Jan Thomas, the Senior Advisor for Community Relations. And Abby Erler is also on here. She's our Faculty Associate Director of Cell and Research, and she'll help us out with any questions that you might have at the end. So just to get started, we've gotten several questions from both faculty and community partners about how to do community engaged learning courses within the context of COVID-19. So today we want to let you know how we can help and give you some ideas for how to incorporate community engagement virtually or with minimal contact. Next slide, please, sorry. So through a variety of conversations and surveys conducted by our office this past spring and summer, we've been able to assess partner and community needs and begin thinking about how we can incorporate these within CEL courses. Next slide, please. First, I would like to talk about how our office can help in general, like with COVID-19 or without COVID-19. So we aim to assist in seeing you through from start to finish, consistently within the community. So consistently within the community, we have regular check-ins with community partners, and it's through these connections, as well as the connections with you, the faculty, that we are able to match community partners with faculty or faculty with community partners for a wide variety of CEL aspects. If you've never taught a CEL course before, we offer regular workshops, which we will kind of be thinking about how we can make those virtual, and as well as one-on-one consultations. Also important to note is that there are different levels of CEL ranging from entry level to moderate to immersive. This can range from inviting local partners to present to your class, to creating marketing for an organization, to developing programs that benefit an organization. When considering different kinds of CEL courses, we need to think about how we can get creative, especially during the time of COVID-19. And next slide, please. And Jan is going to talk about some of what she's been hearing and some ideas that have been thought about.
Great, thanks. Hello to those of you I haven't met yet. I'm Jan Thomas, as Alyssa said, and I am, she gave you the fancy title. Basically, the short title is I'm the director for the Office for Community Partnerships. Have been a sociologist for many years at Kenyon, so we appreciate you being here. I want to just share some ideas with you that, as Alyssa said, have come from our community partners. And really, we're not going to go over all of the things on these next few slides. I just wanted to put them up there and highlight a few things to get your sort of creative juices flowing, just to give you some ideas and help you start thinking about possibilities. I think, as Alyssa mentioned, one of the easiest things that you can do is probably engage community partners in virtual conversations. Again, and you know, before this semester, perhaps we would have been out having those conversations in the community, but you can bring them in too. And I think this can be a series of conversations, not just a conversation, but perhaps you want to invite either multiple people to talk about a particular issue, or you can have the same partner come in and at various times throughout your class. So I mean, think about how those conversations might be useful at various points throughout the semester. I think another thing to just think about is, are there ways that you can co-create a play, poetry, a dance with some partner in the community, and then offer a virtual performance? And again, these would be created with your partners, so that you're learning about what their needs are, or what would be appropriate for their particular client base, whether it's at elementary school students or it's a retirement community, and then how you might work together and then have this performance for them. A lot of people are looking for things for their clients to listen to, hear, see, whatever. So I think that those are other possibilities. And then I think the right-hand side are just ideas about producing products that you would leave with a client or with their partners. So that's another way that you can start thinking broadly about how you might work with a community partner in the coming months. Next slide, please. This group is our ideas that are more immersive. So as Alyssa mentioned, we have 3 levels of community engagement. This would be a level in which this would be a little bit more in-depth and maybe more intense or more connected to learning goals than perhaps some of the others. And again, these vary widely. So I'm talking in generalities here. These are could be more integrated into the course, as I said, more integrated into learning goals. And you'll see from this list that these tend to focus on research and then some kind of presentation. We heard so many needs for research from community partners. And some of these are on the business side, some of them are on the nonprofit side. You can see Ariel Foundation Park in the mix there. So we have all kinds of research projects, some quite in-depth, some shorter. So if you have any interest in talking with us more about that, we would love to have those conversations. Next slide, please. This is the last group. We just wanted to throw up a few more ideas. These are at various levels, as the slide says. I mean, the scope of these can vary pretty tremendously. So for example, if you wanted to give your students some sense of civic engagement, or get them to start learning more about civic engagement broadly, maybe they could be poll workers. I mean, we have an election coming up this semester. That's a one shot, that's one day only, but you're going to learn a lot about local issues and campaigns and in that one experience. Also, again, if you want them to have some sense of how civic organizations work, what are the local issues that we're seeing, have them virtually attend city council, village, or school board meetings. All of those are online now, and you can, in the comfort of your own home, you can sit and watch these things, and they can be really interesting in terms of gathering data on various issues. You'll also see things in here a little bit more intense about like research and writing policy papers. This would again be taking some things they may be familiar with at a national level and trying to bring it down to the local level and helping community agencies come up with policy positions for the things that they're working on. So again, that's just one group. I think the marketing group is really broad. If you look even within what I broadly categorized as marketing, anything from brand research to actually, hands-on conducting focus groups and surveys and those kinds of things. Oops. Wait, where are we? Yeah, that's right. To creating all social media campaigns. We got requests from this, not just from nonprofits, but also from businesses. So there's a lot of interest in having college students work on social media campaigns because they are all about social media. And a lot of the people that are directing these agencies or running the businesses aren't as comfortable with social media as our students are. So there's a lot of great opportunities there. I mean, one of our partners said to me, he said, basically, if you can think about how to do it virtually, let's talk about it. And that's really the message we want to leave you with in terms of thinking about how you might work in the community, even within the COVID restrictions. What do you want your students to learn? And how can course goals be met through community engagement? I mean, those are sort of the two critical questions that we can help you with. So if you can tell us what you want the students to learn, we can help you think about how to do that within the community. And I will pass it back to Alyssa. Next slide, please.
So though Abby and I will be your main contacts for CEL courses, please feel comfortable to reach out to any of us in the office. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Okay, thank you, Jan and Alyssa. I'm going to get my slides teed up really quick. I think there's a little bit of a lag between when I hit the button and when it shows up, so I apologize for that. So my name is Jazz Glastra. I'm a Kenyon alum, and I've been working with the Career Development Office for about a couple of years now, almost exactly 2 years. And so I want to similarly share some of the general resources we have available, COVID-19 or not. Actually, all of these are available regardless of the state of our country's public health. But I specifically wanted to focus for a few minutes on the Kenyan Career Network and some potentially creative ways that you could use it this semester, as many of you are thinking about how to move your courses online or to a hybrid format. So collaborating with the CDO, we absolutely love to collaborate with faculty. In fact, each of the 3 career advisors in our office, that's myself and my colleagues, Josh Lisko and Lee Schott, we are all designated as liaisons for several of the departments. So if you don't know who your liaison is, I'll provide a link at the end of this that you can either jot down, or I'm sure we'll make that resource available via email. And that is where you can look it up and find out who your liaison is. But short version is we love to collaborate with faculty, whether it's coming into your class to do a workshop or a resource overview, or doing something with the department. If you want to have a departmental event, we're very open to that. Anything you can really think of. We love to kind of creatively brainstorm with faculty to figure out how you can help your students think about taking what they're learning in the classroom and translating that into the workplace or into graduate school, and what they're going to do with it beyond Kenyon. So a few things that we regularly do when we come to visit classes. Sometimes it's just a quick stop in and we just do an overview of the resources that the CDO offers. Oftentimes we'll do this in a first year seminar, something like that, just to kind of introduce students to what is the Career Development Office, what can we do for them. Again, I kind of already mentioned this, but we can help students think through, well, for what you're learning in this specific class or this specific major, how could you represent that on your resume? How could you talk about your Kenyan education in an interview in a way that really helps employers or potential employers understand the value of what we do here? Grad school information, our grad school advisor is Maureen Tobin. I'm sure many of you know her or will come to know her. She also can kind of come to your class or to your department meetings and help students understand their grad school options and the timing of various courses they might want to take to prepare for that. And then we also do oftentimes longer workshops actually in a class from time to time. So if you really want your students to be exposed to, here's how you write a resume, just the very basics, we can do that. Or talking about how do you network with alumni and others, things that are much more tailored to a class as well. So we could talk about how could you connect with an alum who is working in a field that is sort of relevant to this course. Anything along those lines, we can do those skills workshops. And we'll get into that more in a second. So another resource I wanted to briefly mention is Handshake. You may have heard of this. It's something that is used by almost every student if they want to make an appointment with the Career Development Office, if they want to view jobs that are available to students that are listed with us by companies around the country. You are welcome to also create your own Handshake profile if you just want to see the jobs that are available to students. I know some faculty enjoy being able to see, hey, I saw this internship that's available, you should think about applying for it, something like that. But the thing I want to spend the remainder of our time today on is actually the Kenyan Career Network. So the Kenyan Career Network is a tool that you can use to connect with Kenyan alumni, which is a great thing just for kind of keeping in touch and maintaining those connections. But specifically for this semester, I was thinking it could be a really helpful tool for finding a guest speaker for your class. So the Kenyan Career Network, you may have heard that term before, even before the last couple of years. That name has gone through several iterations of kind of the format that it takes. But essentially the idea behind the Kenyan Career Network is we know that Kenyan alumni absolutely love to help students and want to be engaged with what's going on here in Gambier. And so in the past, it was sort of a searchable database that alumni could opt into to just say, yep, this is my job, here's my contact information, give me a holler if you want to talk about careers. In October 2018, so just under 2 years ago, we migrated to a new platform that is much more interactive, and you can kind of think of it as a sort of like a private LinkedIn, but just for the Kenyan community. So it does include students, alumni, faculty, and staff, so you can join, as well as a few parents, mostly those who are involved in our Job Shadow program. Right now we have about 2,500 alumni volunteers, and 900, so more than a third of them, have specifically volunteered to speak to a class or on a panel. So we have alumni from around the country, around the world, who are in a wide variety of industries, have really interesting experiences, and are ready and willing and excited to kind of share that expertise with students. Okay. So how do you get on this Kenyan Career Network? That's the link at the top. Feel free to jot it down, or again, I'm sure we'll email this out. Every faculty member should already be pre-approved to join. So since it's a private Kenyan online community, you can't just be, sort of Bob Smith on the street and join. We want to keep it private. And so we've already pre-approved all of your Kenyan email addresses. So if you sign up using that email address, then you shouldn't have any problem getting access. If you decide to use a personal email address, that's totally fine. It might just take me a day to actually go through and approve you. But either way, you'll soon have access to the full network. I want to point out a couple of features just so you know, once you get in there, kind of whatever the lay of the land is, and if you're talking to students about how they can use this, you can advise them on that. So the members I've circled here in red, that's the main tool for finding alumni who fit certain criteria. So you can go ahead, you can type a search term into that search bar. So let's say you want to find somebody with expertise in wildlife biology. You could type that in. I usually just click the members tab and then use filters to kind of narrow it down. That usually gets the best results. So the members tab is the main thing you're going to use. Communities is where we have set up several discussion groups. Actually, there are more than a dozen now. Most of them are place-based, so it'll be like alumni from the Chicago area or the New York area. Also industry-based. I would say the most active one we have of those right now is probably Kenyan Green alumni. Of course, green isn't exactly an industry, but it's sort of a group of industries. And that has been really successful with students and young alums who are seeking advice, seeking connections. We've also seen some interesting kind of discussions happening on there. We also have a couple of departments that have started their own communities, and you're welcome to do that as well. Feel free to contact me about that. Events and discussions, those are really sort of related to what happens in communities. And then connections is where if you do have a message going back and forth with an alum or perhaps a student, that's where you could click to go back to those messages when you log in. So how to use the member search. So I specifically mentioned that we have 900 alumni who have specifically volunteered to speak on a panel or in a classroom virtually. So when you sign up, you have the option to specify a few specific volunteer opportunities. And this is important to know also just as you're advising students. let's say you have a student who has an interview in a city that they're not from, and they are looking for a place to stay. Well, they can actually filter by alumni who will offer housing for, a couple of days or a week or something. So that's kind of one useful feature. You can also search for people who, or students can search for people who are willing to review resumes or do mock interviews, all kinds of things. But for your purposes as faculty, probably the thing you're going to use is this filter for speaking on a panel or in a classroom. And as you can see on this screenshot, the search I've run is, so we're looking only at alumni who want to speak on to a class, and I've also just thrown in an industry filter for those who have expertise in computer software. And you can see there's 41 people who fit those criteria. So you can filter by industry, major, if you're just, for instance, looking for biology majors or history majors or dance majors, you can do that. If you have a specific job title in mind, that would be pretty specific, but never know, you can do that as well, and then location. So once you find somebody, it's very easy to get connected. All you have to do is click the purple send a message button. I would recommend using that instead of the schedule a call tool right off the bat, because I tend to see a higher response rate on those messages. I can't see, just so you know, I can't see any of the content of your messages. All I can see on the back end is if a message was sent and replied to. So don't worry that I'm going to be like spying or anything like that. Certainly won't be. But in any case, so all you need to do is hit send a message, type whatever you want to say, invite them to join your class virtually. And when you send it through this platform, it will actually be delivered directly to that person's email inbox using the email that they signed up with. Similarly, when they reply, it'll come straight to your email, and you can even kind of message back and forth without having to log back into this platform, just by replying directly to the email. It kind of routes through the Kenyan Career Network and back to their email address. So, we already checked the filters, there they are. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I know that many of you are adjusting to this new reality, or I guess it's not doesn't feel new anymore. It feels like we've been here for years. And so I just wanted to throw this out there as a tool that I thought might be really helpful in your courses right now. So please keep us updated. We would love to know if you are using this to reach out to alums or perhaps parent volunteers. Anybody who's speaking, we want to, you certainly don't need to like run it past us for permission, but we do want to make sure that we're kind of noting when alumni do volunteer so that we're careful not to ask them to do too many things. But yeah, so we can help if you're kind of struggling to get in touch with somebody or you're not sure how to use the platform. Please feel free to email me or call me. You can look me up in the directory. Online, there's in their faculty information section of our website, there are some handy links. That's also where you can find kind of which of the CDO advisors is the liaison for which department. So you can email me directly, or if you forget my name, just cdo@kenyon.edu and it'll get to me. And I think that is all I wanted to cover. So I'm going to throw it over to Dave Heighthouse.
Thanks, Jazz, and thanks everybody for taking the time to virtually gather to talk about some of these resources. As Jazz said, I'm Dave Heighthouse. I'm the Director of Green Initiatives, which is title is wonderfully non-specific as the Office of Green Initiatives itself. So to bore a little bit further down into what that actually means, next slide, please. The Office of Green Initiatives is basically the umbrella office that coordinates activities between the Kenyon Farm, the Brown Family Environmental Center, the Kokosi Nature Preserve, the Philander Chase Conservancy, campus sustainability projects, and sort of the overarching carbon neutrality goal of 2040. So we are a part of the academic division. All of these assets are curricular assets first, there for you to avail yourselves of to the point of exploitation. And for folks who may not be familiar with each of these, just real quick to tell you what these actually are. The Kenyon Farm is a 10-acre, primarily vegetable production farm just outside the village. Easy walking distance from downtown Gambier. We have one full-time professional staff member there who also functions as an adjunct faculty for one class a semester relative to farm operations. And the workforce and part of most of the planning force are anywhere from 8 to 12 students, depending on the budget. Obviously, this year it will be fewer. The BFEC is sort of a legacy community outreach / college program. It's a 500-acre nature preserve that spans both sides of the Kokosing River, again, just at the bottom of the hill. We have effectively 4 full-time staff there. And we run a combination of Kenyan specific and community programs. The Kokosing Nature Preserve is a little bit further off campus, about a mile. It's administered by the Philander Chase Conservancy. It is a former golf course, now ecological restoration area, half of which doubles as a green burial cemetery. Philander Chase Conservancy is the college's land trust. As far as we know, it is the only college or university affiliated land trust in the United States. It is at an interesting juncture now, having basically accomplished its mission of preserving over 5,000 acres of natural and agricultural land in Knox County. They're sort of looking at the next thing. So this, if there's interest, is actually a really good year to think about curricular engagement with a group that's been focused a little bit more off campus until recently. Campus sustainability, I think that's more of my day today, trying to ensure that operations are being conducted as efficiently as possible, generally aiming towards this carbon neutrality goal of 2040. So for that, it's a lot of back of the house stuff, analyzing utilities, best practices for operations. But then there's a fair bit front of the house too, just answering questions about how each of us can be a little more efficient in our day-to-day. Next slide. So there are lots and lots of different ways to collaborate with the OGI, and frankly, many of them will bypass me. I think there's kind of 3 broad categories for how you can take advantage of these resources. The first and the most simple is just come use the space, regardless of whether you're doing something that's specific to that spot. If you want to get out of your classroom, come to an outside area that is has a certain characteristic. For the BFEC, it's a historically natural landscape. For the farm, it's a agricultural landscape, and for the Kokosing Nature Preserve, it's somewhere in between. It natural material, very specifically designed to look a certain way. The second way that you can integrate with any of these things is to participate or interpret something that's already going on. I mean, all of these organizations, they're always available for curricular engagement, but they've got their own programs going on. So if you want to, come down and participate in ongoing research at the BFAC or an actual farming project at the farm, those are things that we're staffed up and always happy to have people come and participate. And then the last way, and the way that I like the most, is let us help you come up and execute your project. So, if you've got a crazy idea, you're going to be very welcome. We're a farm, we're an environmental center, we're a restoration area or campus stuff. We're here for every department and every faculty member. So the more people that come to us with crazy ideas that can get students outside, hands-on learning, we're still kind of stuck in the 2020 plan that we still view ourselves as sort of this clearinghouse for experiential hands-on learning. So if you have an idea, don't think it's going to be all on you to develop and execute it. We have staff at all of these places who are basically waiting for you to come and interrupt them so they can help you come up with the project that works for you at the center. Traditionally, we've thought of these things as on-site. Increasingly, as we move our programs virtual, we're trying to put ourselves in a position where we can help you come up with virtual experiences too. Whether that's a 360-degree image tour of a restoration site, or having one of our staff members come and speak to your course, we're willing to work with you. And sort of on that note, right? If coming to one of the green centers isn't for you, we're also happy to bring the green centers to your class, whether that is in the form of topical presentations, whether you want to take a specific piece of what we're doing at one of these different places. Say you want to know about renewable energy on campus, I can come in and speak to you about that. Or you'd like to hear about research that's being conducted at the BFAC, or you'd like to learn what in the hell green burial is. I mean, these are all things that that the staff will be happy to come and speak to you about directly, even if it's only a portion of a class period. And then there's, of course, there's mission-specific presentations as well. I mean, if it would be appropriate for somebody to come to your class in person, or more likely virtually at this point, and talk about why do we have these things and what are the things we're doing, something a little more broad. That is also certainly an option. Next slide, please. So I wanted to just include a few images here to describe a couple of the different kinds of things we've done in the past. Just to give, get, again, as Jan said, get the creative juices flowing, and think about, for a dance class, going to the environmental center, not necessarily the first thing they thought of, but we've actually worked with dance and dance and drama and film on several projects that have always struck me as pretty successful. The one you're seeing here is an interpretive dance piece that took place at the BFAC, both above and in the Kokosing River. To the right is an image from the Green Burial Cemetery, where this is a little more come and plug into something that's already happening, where we're doing specific hand seeding for native pollinating plants in what is now the back half of a pretty extensive and beautiful prairie unit there. Next slide, please. Here's some more, maybe slightly more traditional in terms of what you might think of activities at these different centers. On the left, you have a student who is participating at the Kenyon farm. In this instance, I think he's laying out an experimental bed. I think this was the Three Sisters project, which is a traditional North American way of growing beans, squash, and corn at the same time. It started as more of an ecological project. It ended up being interpreted also by folks in the students in the history department. So that was a nice way to see a single thing interpreted in a couple different ways. Obviously, the resource of the Kokosing River is something we're very fortunate to have. Here you have students doing some macroinvertebrate analysis over by the BFAC. And then finally, when we're using the word crazy, probably Bruce Hardy should come to the top of the list. Bruce was one of the first people to take a non-traditional approach to using these spaces. This picture here with the kids freezing in the snow is from his Neanderthal class, which is not called practical Neanderthaling, but it could be. Essentially, what he does is uses the BFEC as a big experimental zone where kind of starts the semester shin deep in snow with the students harvesting grasses and sticks with sharp stones, which they then over the course of a couple of weeks build a shelter out of, and then to actually see would this work, we'll put some thermal sensors inside and outside the shelter to see kind of what the different thermal buffering capacity is. So it's that's probably at the far end of what people will do there, but again, it's also that illustrates what we're willing to indulge. So next slide, please. So this is the last one. I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of the individuals who are actually in charge of these different units. And as this is being recorded, it'll be sent out. You don't have to go through me. If you want to contact any of these organizations directly, these are the folks that you should reach out to. I ran out of space, so I didn't put my contact in there, but I'm easy to find. If you have any questions about or would like to discuss or engage with campus sustainability projects, I'm your man for that, whether it's compost and recycling or building efficiency or nagging you about printing less paper. I'm happy to take all comers on that one. And in the interest of Q&A, I will shut up and throw it out to our faculty.
Thanks so much, Jan and Jazz and Alyssa and Dave. And yes, do we have any questions? You can unmute yourself, turn your camera on if you like, or just type into the chat.
I might just mention while people are thinking about questions that when Dave said, you don't have to go through him, just go ahead and contact people. We would like to encourage you, actually, if you're going to be working in the Mount Vernon or Knox County community, to contact us, because it's really helpful for us to know where classes are and various students groups are already interacting in the community, so we don't overload partners. So please, come to us if you need a partner and you don't know where to start. But if you have one, and if you already, have something set up, just let us know, because we'd love to, be able to keep track of how many different types of engagements we have in the community.
And don't get me wrong, I will hear about you, but this is just more cutting out the middleman. No, those are.
I guess we were so thorough that there are, oh, maybe there's a question.
I was just going to say thanks for all this information. I feel like this is such time to be trying to figure out great ways to be innovative and to remain community engaged, despite the fact that some of our community is remote. So I feel like this has given me a lot of ideas, and when I have sorted through all these ideas, I will be in touch. I'm going to let it settle, but thank you so much for the time, guys. I think it's great.
Thank you, Leah. What Leah's comment reminds me too, that there may actually be some opportunities to work in person and outside in terms of community engagement. So I think in this moment of, social distancing and mask wearing and all that kind of stuff, the more activities where we can have people outside, the better. So obviously, Dave's the programs under Dave are huge for that. But I'm thinking about occasionally there is just a need to do maybe a particular service project with a partner. And often those are things that are outside or could be, done in a socially distanced way. So I don't think anything we put on the list of ideas was something that is outdoors. But again, if you've got something that you're really interested in and you're just not sure if it can be done in a socially distanced or a safe way, just come talk to us. I'm sure that goes for Dave and Jazz too. We will try and help you get the learning experience you want for your students.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the time that I'll plug again that, at least I view myself, my office, and the offices that I work with as faculty support units as much as anything. When we're not supporting faculty, we're off doing our own thing. But everybody knows that if push comes to shove, priority one is making sure that our students and faculty are able to engage in the kinds of learning that they want to. And if that means getting a GoPro Max and a bunch of VR gear and providing virtual tours to the BFEC, we'll try to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, ditto to that. We love to work with faculty. And I don't think I said this, but I wanted to just mention that reaching out to alumni through the Kenyon Career Network, it certainly doesn't, if you're engaging them as a guest speaker, it could be because they just have a lot of expertise in the topic that you're covering. It doesn't necessarily have to be to bring them in to do a specific, here's how I got from Kenyon to my career. We love to do that as well, but we have thousands of subject matter experts who are dying to hear from you. So use them.
I noticed that one of the things I really heard today was the degree, the different degrees of engagement. And of course, I'm the director of the Center for Innovative Pedagogy. We love it. We kind of blow things up and go back to square one and really rethink and innovate. And there's a lot going on, and nobody needs to try to lift too much right now. And part of the reason for this panel is to make sure that you know that how many partners are available to you to help with the lift, but also the degree to which I heard, sure, we do want those really deep, intense things, but there are also lots of good, valid ways that we can do things that are a little more one-offish, a little more, as Jan and Alyssa put it, a little more introductory. And this might be a very good semester to think about introductory and things that are just kind of getting started, but still providing students that experience, which is so much related to belonging and engagement and Kenyan identity and deep learning, even in small things.
I think just to echo that, Joe, it seems to, as we've been thinking about, this semester when we have fewer community engaged learning classes for obvious reasons, this notion of seeding ideas and trying things out in small doses for semesters to come. So now's a great time to be planning, right? To just trying to be seeding some of those things so that when things have opened up again, that we're sort of ready to launch. So I think taking advantage of this very odd moment is helpful too. All right.
Well, if we don't have any more comments, we'll stick around for a couple of minutes, but I'm going to I'll turn the recording off, and I want to thank our panelists one more time and thank all of you for attending. Thanks so much. I'm stopping the recording.
Okay, cool.